So Knovel's a company I started 12 years ago. We've grown fairly rapidly through that time, which is great. We serve primarily design engineers, both chemical and mechanical primarily. And what we really are is a one-stop shop for those engineers to get design information, reference data, best practices, basically to allow them to do research very quickly and efficiently in one place. We have really 7 industry verticals that we service. So we service government, primarily U.S. defense related. We have about 500 academic institutions as customers. But from an industrial standpoint, we serve aerospace and defense, chemicals, industrial manufacturing, and heavy equipment, so companies like John Deere and the like. There's probably no better source in the world for materials data. So if somebody's making a materials selection decision, we probably have the largest databases in the world around materials data. That data is available in any number of different forms, but it's numerically searchable. So if somebody's looking for very specific data, I want to find a material that can be used in this particular application, they can search us parametrically, they can find it, they can pull very extensive multi-point data, or they can pull up very general data that might talk simply about processing of that data. Everything we deliver is delivered over the web, and we are basically platform agnostic, so that we can be used any place, anytime by any of our end users. We tend to deal with large industrial corporations. They have needs across the world. They may have one of our large customers is BP, for instance. They'll have engineers that are working on solving problems in the middle of London. They'll also have engineers that are working on solving problems on production platforms in Prudhoe Bay. And so we have to be able to deliver in all of those environments. My kids, I even have a kid who's 8, and he's played with a 3D printer and in his school. So it's becoming pervasive when you see 8-year-olds engaged in that type of activity. In terms of people need data, and we found this, people need data whether you work for Bechtel or Boeing or you're working for Bolt. You need data. Engineers need data. People need data in order to solve problems. And so having ready access to data is incredibly important. Our business model traditionally has been to deal with the enterprise. So our average customer has sales in excess of $1 billion. And clearly that's not the target market for this. But we will introduce an offering completely oriented toward the professional. In other words, if you will call it the retail market. We get inquiries now on our website on the order of 1,000 to 1,500 a month, where people that are asking to purchase individual access to our service. And it tends to be people that are not in that large enterprise food chain, if you will. So we recognize it. We will become engaged in it over the next 6 months. There's no question. We will be looking to serve the people that are involved in the world that you're catering to with this event in that time frame. And it's very clear to us that there's substantial demand for it. We actually have a partnership, for instance, with PTC, where we're integrated into some of their software. But these large companies, so the CAD/CAM business in and of itself is a very mature business. I mean, the major development in CAD over the last, it's 10-15 years ago was moving from 2D CAD to 3D CAD. The reason for CAD was, of course, moving from doing it with pencil and paper to an environment which was much more efficient. But these are big, mature companies. So when they look at the integration of something into their environment, it has to really move the dial for them. So you look at a company like PTC with $1 billion in sales. When they integrate with somebody like us, they have to see major increase in license revenue or some other ancillary benefit that moves the dial for them. And there hasn't been a lot of, let's say, information literacy in that business. They haven't truly looked at the full workflow of what people are involved in. That's changing as they've entered the PLM business, and they try to address the entire workflow. So we've actually, in the last 6 to 12 months, had 2 of the 3 major CAD providers approach us And we are working on integration projects today. And there's a recognition that information is a critical element in the workflow. And so I would expect to see some announcement either from them or from us in the next 6 to 12 months where we start to see that type of integration, because these companies are starting to recognize that they want to own the entire workflow in order to build their businesses to the next level.